The Wild West was not an easy time to live in. It was an era of cowboys, Native Americans, saloons, outlaws, and of course, gunfights. Are you curious to know if this time looked as authentic as it does in the movies? As part of the Omaha Board of Trade, a stagecoach procession carries passengers along a mountain road near Deadwood, South Dakota. This photo was taken in 1889. The main street of the western settlement of Tonopah, Nevada, was always crowded in this photo. Covered wagons brought goods to trading posts that were used either for sale or trade. In this photo, we see two Native Americans next to a cowboy on a hay bale. These three men were participants in the Buffalo Bill show. If you think these men were going to battle, you may be wrong. This photo shows a large group of Native Americans lined up in a row in the 1890s. They were in line to attend Buffalo Bill's famous Wild West show. Now that's a long line. Here we see a picture of the Brule Sioux Native Americans who traveled across the plains on horseback. Sometimes referred to as the Burned Hip People, the French settlers called them Brules. In this photo from the 1900s, we see a man on horseback waving a hat. In those days, groups of people would race to take over lands of interest. Sometimes as many as 50,000 people would race to grab a piece of land. These days, it's a competition. In this photograph, we see 8 Crow Indians on horseback, silhouetted against a rising sun in 1908. The picture was taken in Montana. These Indians were known to have lived in a large area around the Yellowstone River, which included present-day Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota. Here we see a young Sioux woman dressed in a special ceremonial dress for a particular occasion. Most Native American tribes had their own taste in dress so that other tribes could distinguish them from afar. Here we see a group of gold prospectors posing with their equipment and horse before setting out to find their riches. The photograph was taken in 1867 in the northwestern United States. This is a photograph of a peace commission in Dodge City in June 1883. The city was known for its lawlessness until Wyatt Earp and Beth Masterson created the Peace Commission to maintain safety and order. We see a Native American cowboy riding a horse along the edge of a bluff located in Monument Valley. Due to its popularity, many Hollywood movies have been filmed here, and the place has come to epitomize the American West. One of the last surviving members of the Pony Express was Armadillo Charlie Miller. Miller later appeared on Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. In this photo, a settler family poses in front of a covered wagon. In 1803, the Louisiana Purchase marked the beginning of massive American expansion into the Western Territories. The correct photograph shows the famous late 19th century entertainer William Frederick Cody, known as Buffalo Bill. The photo was taken in 1900. His famous show Buffalo Bill's Wild West was a touring act that told the stories of many Native Americans and cowboys. This picture of rugged young men was known as the Rufus Buck Gang. Created by a guy named Rufus Buck, this multiracial gang of outlaws robbed ranches and stores in the late 1890s in the Arkansas and Oklahoma area. They were eventually captured near Muskogee, Oklahoma, and sentenced to death for killing several people. In those days, any kind of liquor was not cheap, especially Rothgut liquor. To make saloons bring in more money, owners diluted the good liquor by adding other ingredients, such as ammonia and turpentine. Prostitution was a big problem in the Old West. Although it was mostly illegal, brothels were common and in plain sight. Some respectable madams even donated much of their profits to the community. Known for her stagecoach robberies, Pierre Hart was another Old West woman who was particularly daring. She was a daring girl who escaped from prison and became a celebrity during her lifetime. Although she was a notorious outlaw, she was well educated and came from a wealthy family. Poker was another favorite pastime in the Old West. If you were not a gambler, you were not a cowboy. It was a popular form of entertainment. The game originated in the United States in the 19th century and was documented as early as 1836 in the book Dragoon Trips to the Rocky Mountains. In the days of the Wild West, Women did not have equal rights to drink in the saloon. Women were forbidden to even enter saloons unless they were saloon keepers, prostitutes, or dancers. Women who were denied booze helped found the Anti-Saloon League, which was the most powerful prohibition lobby. There were a lot of railroads in the Old West. Of course, without railroaders, nothing would have been possible. Believe it or not, cowboys were not the only ones who participated in rodeos in the Old West. What's more, some women were brave enough to join them. These girls you see in the photo are called rodeo cowgirls or rodeo queens. Some of the most famous cowgirls of the time were Calamity Jane and Dale Evans. Remember Bob Marley's iconic song, Buffalo Soldier? Now we know where he got the term from. In 1890, no one knew exactly who this soldier was, but his face will forever be known. The term Buffalo Soldier was given to black soldiers by Native Americans, and it has stuck ever since. One of the largest tribes that lived on the Great Plains were the Sioux Indians. As you can see in the photo, they built teepees. Although we don't know exactly where this photo was taken, we can assume it was somewhere in the Dakota Territory. The Old West was full of prostitutes and elite madams. Some were so successful and popular with the public that they eventually became millionaires. Despite the harsh conditions they had to live in, these women came from all over the world to do what they were famous for. The Native American man we see in the picture is named Maimon. He was a Mohave native and worked as an interpretive guide in the 19th century, especially in the 1870s in Colorado. We all know that saloons were popular in the Old West. The first saloon was opened in Wyoming in 1822. In those days, bartenders were the most respected people. In the Wild West, cowboys weren't just cowgirls. They even had a term, the cowboy look. This term described exactly the look you see in the movies. Cowboys wore a bandana, leather gloves, boots, a pair of sturdy jeans, and of course, the famous cowboy hat. One of the most popular establishments located in Jordan, Montana was Bob's Saloon. In this photo, we see a group of cowboys relaxing at the entrance to the saloon in 1904. In this photo, we see a group of cowboys enjoying a drink and conversation with the bartender in the saloon. This took place in 1907 in Old Tasacos, North Texas. Horse theft was a serious business in the Old West. No one knew it better than Belle Starr, who was arrested for the crime in 1883. Starr went down in U.S. history as one of the most famous female lawmen. One of the most obvious stereotypes of the Wild West is cowboys. However, one of the lesser-known facts of the time were African-American cowboys. Although the photographer of this picture is unknown, we do know that it was taken in 1880. The gold rush led to a mass exodus of indigenous people from California. The state soon attracted significant investment in federal agricultural projects. As Native Americans and Mexicans became fewer and fewer, a flood of Chinese immigrants soon flooded into the state to work the fields. This 1910 photo of the bar scene is proof that the Wild Wild West was indeed wild. Here, the cowboys and girls in the saloon are living life to the fullest. The bar is full of people, lots of alcohol, and everyone is dressed in their best outfits. Have you noticed that the customers in this bar sit on stools that seem to be made of bear skins? That's right. This bar's furnishings include seats covered in bearskin. The history of these seats is linked to bartender Seth Kinman. It is claimed that he killed 800 grizzly bears in his lifetime.